forever safe in my Savior's hands. You are more than my words could say. I follow you, Lord, for all my days. Fix my eyes following your ways. Forever free in unending grace.
You are my freedom. Lift you higher, lift you higher. Your love, your love, your love, never ending. You are life in us. Nothing can take your place. You are all we need. Your love has set us free. Whoa.
Darkest night, let your love be the shining light, breaking chains that were holding me. Set your sun down and set me free. Everything in this world will fade. I'm pressing on till I see your face. I will live that your will be done, and I won't stop until your kingdom comes.
You are my freedom. Lift you higher, lift you higher. Your love, your love, your love, never ending. You are life in us. Nothing can take your place. You are all we need. Your love has set us free.
You are my freedom, we lift you higher. You are my freedom, we lift you higher.
You are my freedom, we lift you higher, lift you higher. Your love, your love, your love, never ending. You are life in us. Nothing can take your place. You are all we need. Your love has set us free. You are life in us. Nothing can take your place. You are all we need. Your love has set us free. Whoa.
Hey everyone, so glad you're here with us. My name is Jill Cascone and I'm a part of our Clarkson campus. If you're checking us out for the first time or you're relatively new, welcome. Please introduce yourself by texting HELLO to 248-781-2771. You can also learn more about who we are at kensingtonchurch.org and by downloading the Kensington Church app. If you haven't yet, stay connected with us 24/7 on all of our social media channels. Before we get into the third week of our Pivot series, I have a few updates to share. The first one is for all the ladies. Insights Women's Bible Study, taught by our very own Kensington women, is starting this fall. And it's a great opportunity to grow in the knowledge of the Bible and connect with other women. Insights is meeting virtually each week for 2 hours, beginning with a large group teaching, followed by small groups for discussion. If you want to be notified when registration opens up, email women@kensingtonchurch.org. Men, we know you're feeling left out, but don't worry, we've got a group opportunity for you too. DIG also launches this fall. The Bible study is for all men, so whether you are a biblical scholar or you've never even opened up the Bible, the group is meeting virtually each week for 30 minutes for biblical teaching, followed by small group discussion. To register, head to kensingtonchurch.org/men. This next opportunity is for everyone. Back to school looks different this year, but what hasn't changed is Kensington's commitment to support the staff and students of our local partner schools. Each year, we have partnered with 10 local schools to provide thousands of school supplies for more than 4,000 students in need. This year, even more supplies are needed to promote health and safety measures in the classrooms as well as at-home learning. Head to kensingtonchurch.org/schoolpartners to start shopping. On this page, you'll also find more ways to love our school partners, like volunteering or donating new or gently used books to the book drive. Thank you for your generosity and loving our local communities so well.
Well, good morning, Kensington. Good morning. And welcome to everyone who is joining us online. We are so glad that you are with us today. And over the last couple weeks, we have been able to celebrate and look back at everything that God has done in and throughout Kensington this last year. And as we've done that, it means we've reached our beginning of our new fiscal year, and that means it's time for our annual vote. And so today, our vote is to affirm the proposed 2020-21 budget and elders, and you'll see that information on the screens here in just a moment. We want to let you know, though, you can review all of that information by going to our website. So you can go to kensingtonchurch.org/annual report, and you can read everything. It's going to be there for you. Now, today, it's a little different. It's the first time ever that we're just doing an electronic vote only. And so there are two different ways that you can vote today. You can go to our app. If you don't have our app yet, this would be a great opportunity to do that. Download that. You're going to be able to vote with that today. But also, it's a place that you can watch our live stream. You can also stay connected to what is happening in and throughout Kensington through the app, so that's an awesome thing to have. Also, you can vote today by going to our website. So you can go to kensingtonchurch.org/vote. And so those are your two options. And I want to let you know that it's for everyone who is here, yes, in person today, but it's also for everyone who is watching online. It's really important for those of you at home or on vacation, wherever you are, to also participate in the vote today. And so we're just going to give you a moment now so that you can review some of that information and take time to cast your vote. So go on ahead. Well, we just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for just taking the time to do that. And you can continue to do that. Is that going to stay? Stay, ball, stay. Oh, maybe not. And just because of you being able to vote, we are able to continue to do everything we can to reach the one. So thank you. And we are so excited to see what God is going to continue to do in this next year here at Kensington. Well, today is week 3 of our series called Pivot. Now, when I think of the word pivot, I actually think of basketball. Now, I don't know if you can tell from my athletic look that I have here today of just how awesome I am at basketball. Yeah, you'd be so surprised. But actually, in high school, I did try out for the basketball team. And of course, throughout the tryout, you have to do all these different drills, right? So there was shooting drills, we did some passing stuff, and there was dribbling, and of course, we had to pivot. We had to pivot with the ball to change direction or to pass it off to someone else. And we did all these drills, and by the end of it, my amazingly stellar basketball career came to a crashing halt. Now, it wasn't because I was cut, which I know you might be surprised just seeing at what skills I have right now, but I actually quit. I realized as much as I love to shoot hoops, all you do in basketball is run, right? Back and forth on the court. And I was like, oh no, this is not a game for me. So That was kind of the end of my basketball career. But I did get to resurrect it during quarantine. Thanks to all of our time at home, my boys and I played a lot of basketball in our driveway. Can't say I really love the game still playing it. I kind of am more of a game of horse. That's kind of my skill level, okay? That's where but either way, we had lots of fun. Well, I would love to take a moment and pray for us this morning. Will you join me? God, I just thank you just for this time that we have to be together, and I pray that you would open our hearts and our ears just to hear from you today, that you would speak to each one of us in just the way that you do, that you see us where we are at right now in our own lives. And I pray, God, that we would continue to move towards becoming more and more like you, God. Move in our hearts and our lives today. We love you and we thank you in your name. Amen. All right, well, at this time, I do want to receive our offering. If you are new or newer to Kensington, just know that this moment is not designed for you. It's for those of us that call Kensington home. And if you came prepared to give physically, we're going to have some buckets at all the doors. When you leave the auditorium, you can just drop it off there. Otherwise, you can give electronically. It's fast, it's safe. We have multiple ways. You can go to our website through the app, or you can even text the word Kensington to 77977. And thank you guys so much for just being on mission and being faithful in that. Now, I got to admit something. I can't believe that it's the end of August. Does anyone else feel like that? Like, oh my gosh, you guys, in 2 days, it is September, which just feels strange. Because September has that whole new feeling, right? It's like a new season, fall's coming, we can feel the weather changing. And it almost has like a new year feeling. I think for many of us, it's because our school year begins September. And so it's like, okay, but we're in this really strange reality right now. I mean, normally at this time, I would have gone and done all this back to school shopping for my boys, right? New clothes and school supplies, and there's been none of that, which I think my bank account thanks me, but there's been nothing. I even joked with my husband the other day. I was like, well, what do we do? Do we get them new pajamas because they're just going to be remote? Like, how is that what we do now? I don't know, because 2020 has been nothing we expected. Nothing has been what we would consider normal. Like, there's been parts of this year we've been completely halted. We've had to slow down. For many of us, our jobs have adjusted. We've had to do things differently. And even recently, some things have kind of opened back up. But we're in this weird kind of dance. We're like, yes, we can do this. Nope, not fully. Okay, we can do this. And we're kind of trying to figure this out. And really, it feels like it's almost been a wild, emotional roller coaster, right? You're like, the emotions have been all over the place. And I came across this post on social media that actress Reese Witherspoon did, and then some other celebrities follow suit, and I found a couple that I thought were really kind of funny and kind of sums up, I think, some of our emotions over this last year. So the first one I have is Mark Ruffalo, who plays the Hulk, and it started off great, you guys, and then we're kind of like, what? And then it's just like, he is, right? Because I think we've all been feeling that. And then Viola Davis had another one I really liked because she starts off the year super glamorous, right? It's like, all right, 2020, here we go. And then we have many emotions. There's frustration, there's the tears, there's like, is this ever gonna end? But I love her September, right? Because she's just like, it's go time. I'm done with this, okay? Because I think that's where so many of us are at this point, right? No matter where we are in this whole pandemic and COVID and everything, we're kind of ready just to go, right? We want to go do the things that we love with the people that we love, and we don't have to worry about restrictions and limitations and worrying about if I'm going to get sick, am I going to get someone else sick? And so we kind of just want to go. But I think we need to think about how we go. And that might require us to pivot, to shift how we do things, especially as we kind of go into a new season, because there's still so many unknowns, which really, let's be honest, complicates things. And then our culture right now, man, there's a lot of conflict. It's very divided, which kind of just adds these extra layers, making it feel even more difficult. But the good news is that we are actually not the first people to face the unknown in an unexpected stage of life. The early church had to navigate a new normal. After Jesus ascended to heaven, they had to figure out, how do we do life again without the person of Jesus with us? How do we do this? And in the midst of trying to navigate that, they also experienced a lot of conflict and hostility from other religious leaders, from government leaders, as they tried to gather in homes and teach and pray and even just help meet the needs in their community. And so throughout this series, we've been taking a look at the early church through the book of Acts. And so today we're going to start in chapter 6, verse 1. And it says, "But as the believers rapidly multiplied, there were rumblings of discontent. The Greek-speaking believers complained about the Hebrew-speaking believers, saying that their widows were being discriminated against in the daily distribution of food." Well, I think we can probably relate to that idea of just that discontent. Because I know for myself, I've felt that over the last few months. Or maybe you're even still there. This is not how we pictured life to be. And once again, even this week, just being reminded of some of the pain and the brokenness of the racial injustice that we're experiencing. And my heart just broke again, feeling shattered on the inside. And discontent feels like it's not even the word coming close to the brokenness that I think we're experiencing. And the verse talks about how then the Greek and the Hebrews were complaining, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but if you dare to go on social media these days, I feel like that's all there is. It's just complaining. It's very divisive. Mask, anti-mask, in-person school, virtual school, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. We're completely split. We're divided. And so I think the things that we're going through, yes, they are different than the early church, but I think we can relate to that experience of the conflict, the discontent of life. Let's continue on in verse 2, and it says, "So the 12, the disciples, called a meeting of all the believers. They said, 'We apostles should spend our time teaching the word of God, not running a food program. And so, brothers, select 7 men who are well respected and are full of the Spirit and wisdom. We will give them this responsibility. Then we apostles can spend our time in prayer and teaching the word.'" So up until this point, the disciples are kind of doing everything, right? They're teaching, they're praying, they're trying to meet the needs in their community, and they are doing it all. And I think some of us can relate to that. Because some of us, it's just kind of like, that's what's got dumped into your lap, or the cards that you were dealt, that you're having to do it all. But some of us, whether we want to admit it or not, we like to do it all, right? We choose to do it all. For me personally, I'm totally guilty of this. And it's actually one of those areas in my life that I'm constantly trying to lean into and grow. I mean, I think back when I first started working at a church, and so I was in student ministries, and I was an assistant director to an intern program. So with any job, you have your responsibilities, but I tended to add on and do more. That was my natural way, right? And so I'm doing everything from events and services, running small groups, teaching classes, the day-to-day stuff with interns, worrying about the program, the registration, tuition, media promotions, leading, organizing trips, going on all these trips. And were there people there to help me who were capable and skilled? Yes. Did I ask them? Nope. Why? Well, because I like doing it, right? Like I could do it. It made me feel capable, independent. I was productive, right? And honestly, I liked probably the accolades that I got when people would be like, "Oh my gosh, look at what you're doing. Look, you're doing it so well." I liked that, right? And I liked the fact that I could control the quality, that I had a standard, I had the excellence, and everyone had to meet it. Now, having excellence is not a bad thing, but it was all about my excellence. And so if I was controlling and if I was in charge and if I took care of everything, that meant I knew the who, what, when, where, how. But when you and I choose to do everything on our own, we know in the long run it's not healthy, that it's actually probably going to cause more problems. There's going to be burnout, a lack of creativity, it's a solo perspective, you have one viewpoint. It's not sustainable. It can jeopardize your own mental health. It stunts your personal growth. And it's too easy to be willing to sacrifice anything and everything, including yourself. Because we can't do it all on our own. We think we can, we wish we can at times, but we can't. We weren't created to, actually. And this is where we find the disciples, right? They have been doing it all, but they're beginning to realize that things are not working out really well. Like the people are kind of getting disgruntled. They're like, getting angry about this, right? And so they realize we're going to have to kind of change some stuff up. We're going to have to shift how we're doing. And so they decide to do that. They decide to pivot. They change what's going on and they delegate. They actually let go of some things and allow some other people to step up. But letting go can be really hard. I think many times it's hard because we put our identity in what we do. So when we do everything and we try and manipulate and control everything, the idea of letting go leaves us feeling very vulnerable, scared, unsure, and we even begin to question who we are. But the thing is, who we are has nothing to do with what we do. It has everything to do with whose we are. Now, I wish I could go down that road, but that's a whole other message, okay? Don't have time for that. So we're just going to take a cue from Elsa from the movie Frozen, and we need to let it go. Because letting go is actually the better way, because then we are able to have more people involved. And more can actually get done. And that brings us to our first point today. We cultivates more than me. When the disciples decided to pivot and add some people, they realized that they could actually meet all the needs and they could meet them intentionally, right? And the beauty of this was that things no longer were going to get missed or done halfway or overlooked, that they could actually become effective and efficient because more people were involved. Because when you have more, you are able to do more. In Ecclesiastes 4:9, it says that 2 people are better off than 1, for they can help each other succeed. So when we add 1, 2, 5, 10, 15 more people to what we are doing, not only are we going to be better off, but we're actually going to help each other succeed. So when we add more people to what we are doing for Jesus, we're going to succeed more for Jesus, because more people means we're going to have more success. I like to think of it, like if LeBron James, who is an incredible basketball player, is on the court by himself playing against an NBA team, it doesn't matter how awesome he is. He can only do so much. He's just one guy. But when you place him on a team, that team, man, they could do so much. They can actually do it. They can play the game because there's more of them and they can actually accomplish more. So I was thinking, like, if the disciples were a basketball team, what would it be like? First of all, I was kind of like, what would their name be? Like, would it be like the Holy Rollers? Jesus Crew, I don't know, the ones of the sun, I don't know, like what would their name been? But I'm guessing that maybe Peter would have been like team captain, right? And he's probably like, okay, we're not doing so good. We're kind of a flailing team. Like if you've ever been on a team and you don't do good, you know it, right? They're like, oh boy. And I'm sure he was kind of like, oh, okay, we got to make some changes. Like, how are we going to do this? Like, really excited to play the game, but wow, we stink. So first step, maybe we should get some new recruits. Let's get some more people on the roster. We got to get people so that we can actually play the game. And that's what they did. I don't know how they advertised it. They didn't have Twitter or anything back then, but they were like, come, try out to be a part of the Holy Rollers. They got more people on the team so that they could do more. It reminds me, a couple years ago, my family, we were moving into the house that we currently live in. And we got the keys, and my husband was like, let's just get into the house. We can kind of camp out in the house until our actual move-in day. And I'm like, okay, cool. So the first thing, obviously, we wanted to take in was our mattresses, so that way we could kind of sleep on the floor. And so him and I, we grab the mattress and we schlep it into the house, And then we have to take it upstairs to the second floor. So he gets, on the stairs, and I'm underneath. And so he has to, pull, which, side note, why are there no handles on a mattress? Have you ever tried to do the death grip to try and pull a mattress? Okay, that's just, luckily it was him and not me. So, and we have it wedged in there to try and fit it up the stairwell. So he's trying to pull, and I'm underneath, and I'm pushing, right? And he's like, push. I'm like, I am pushing. And he's like, come on, you got this. I'm like, I was like, yes, babe, I'm trying really hard. No, it was like full on, I am. And he's like, use your body. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm done. You know, we're dripping in sweat. Like at one point, I'm pretty sure I was like trying to like kick it somehow and not fall down the stairs. I mean, we were going nowhere. It was budged in there. We could not get this thing to move. So then he's like, get Caden. I'm like, get Caden? He's our oldest son. At the time, he was like 10. Now, I'm sure there are some strong 10-year-olds, but I was like, what is he going to do? Fine. Okay, Caden, come help. So there's Caden and I'm like practically trying to get under this mattress. He's giving every little bit of and we just like inch by inch, right? We're moving this mattress and we finally get it up there. We collapse. We're just sweaty mess. We have to apologize to each other because we're like, I'm so sorry for how I talked to you. It wasn't you, it was the mattress, like all this kind of stuff. But then a couple days later, it was our actual move-in date. And so we had a team there to help us. And you guys, they moved like our entire housework. We're talking all the furniture, the boxes, even a piano. Like in the same amount of time, it took us to move one mattress. One mattress. Because when more of us are involved, we can do more. So the collective we as the church, we can cultivate so much more for who he is and for Christ and for people to experience him than if it's just me or if it's just you. Now, the second thing that we can learn from this passage is that you are gifted to serve. When the disciples decided to pivot and delegate, they got some more people on their team, they put people where they were gifted. They positioned them there. Now, I don't know how Peter, our team captain, maybe did it. I don't know if he was like, okay, guys, so glad to have you on the team. Welcome to the Holy Rollers. We're going to kick it this year. It's going to be awesome. And maybe he did some tryouts, right? So maybe they're doing some passing stuff, obviously some pivot, because that's what this is all about, right? So they're doing all these drills, and I'm sure he gathered the team together. All right, team huddle. Okay, so Matthew, you know what? I'm going to keep you where you have been playing. I'm seeing that, that's just really what you're gifted at. I think I'm going to keep you a center. Be awesome, okay? Cool. John, yeah, I might switch it to a point guard. I feel like that might suit you better. Steven, so great. Okay, let's keep practicing. Maybe you're a forward. But he decided to place them where they were gifted. And that's where they decided to serve. And the same thing is for you and I, that you are gifted. Like God has gifted you. I love it. In 1 Peter 4:10, it says that God has given each of you a gift from his great variety of spiritual gifts. Use them well to serve one another. Like God has gifted you, and it's specific and unique to you. It looks different than my gifts, and it looks different from the other people around you. But the thing is, these gifts, these talents that God has given you, they're not for you to just hold on to. They're not for your own personal gain or pleasure. They're meant to be given away. Like this verse says, that you will serve with them, that you will serve one another with these gifts, right? But the thing is, I think so many times we get caught up, though, in comparing our gifts. And we forget that we were intentionally designed to give these gifts away. And we start to focus on the things of someone else's gifts and wishing, oh gosh, I wish I could do that like them, or I wish I was talented like that. And when we do that, we forget to give our gifts and abilities purpose. Because when we are captivated by the purpose that God has for you in your life and the gifts that he has given you, it changes how you live. You're no longer worried or consumed with what someone else is doing. You are so captivated with the purpose that he has for you. Because serving and using your gifts is going to look different than other people. It should. But the heart of why we serve, as Christ followers, that should be the same. Because the heart of why we do it comes from Christ himself. It says in Philippians 2:5-7, you must have the same attitude that Christ Jesus had, who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. God didn't come to us like, I am your God. He came humbly. He came as a human, as a servant. He chose surrender. And all throughout the Gospels, we see him serving other people, meeting the needs of those that were around him, the needs that people had. And he wasn't concerned with what James or John was doing or how they were doing it, because he was confident in what he was gifted in because of his relationship with Father God. He knew what he was supposed to do because he was called by him, and he just served. He just said, you have a need and I can meet the need. And he lived out love by serving people. There's this great quote by Mother Teresa, and it says that love cannot remain by itself. It has no meaning. Love has to be put into action, and that action is service. So when it comes to you and I, for us to serve, it simply means meeting the needs of other people. And we can meet those needs by the gifts, the talents, the passions that God has placed inside of you. But sometimes we meet those needs simply by showing up. Now, we have a wonderful story we want to share with you today of someone's journey of jumping in and serving here at Kensington. So let's take a moment and watch Kemi's story.
To me, I believe serving others means devoting my time and resources as much as I can to my ability to help those that need it. My name is Oluwakemi Nora. I'm from Nigeria, and I've been in the US for about 4 years now. I got into the US to do my master's in embedded systems, a branch of software engineering, and I've been here ever since. I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. My dad was born into that life, but eventually he left the organization. We stayed a little bit with our grandmother, so she has been a devoted Jehovah's Witness. So she made us, I and my siblings, to stay on that path of Jehovah's Witness. I was a Jehovah's Witness up until my second year in the university when I left due to personal reasons, and also I wanted to find a path spiritually for myself. The defining moment that I had with God was when I was in my 400 level. In my fourth year in undergrad, I had just started with the new church that I was going to. An event happened during that service, basically, where we were told to identify our spiritual gifts. Then at that point in time, that was when I felt the presence of God over my life. And I could hear his voice saying that, just be still, I would guide you. Don't rush, don't pressure me. I would show you who you are to me. Luckily, through the international, the organization that helps international students, I was paired with an African-American family who introduced me to Kensington, actually. And I loved Kensington because it was so much alike with the church I was serving back at home. So it made me want to stay. And I've been in Kensington ever since I came into the US. Jesus was a servant of the people, and I've always had the nudging to help wherever I can, whenever I can. And just this COVID season made it even more evident. It made me step out of my comfort zone and try to give back to the community, give back and help those that I need, sacrificing my time, my energy, and my finances to help those who cannot help themselves in this period. Through one of the services at Kensington, we were referred to sign up at the Move Out group. There was a carriage that needed to be fixed, needed to be put together, and that's what I ended up doing. The family that needed it had an 8-month-old child that needed it. So that was overwhelming to see that the little thing I decided to do could help another family. So that was a good experience. It was different from what I wanted to do, but I'm glad that God put me in the right way where he wanted me to be. My engineering background really did help me with that. FaithWorks was one of the groups that reached out to me through the Move Out Network. And then I showed up. I was withdrawn, I was quiet because it was the first time I was meeting everyone and I had not had a face-to-face interaction. So I was quiet and reserved, and then Bud came up and he was like, "Oh, how are you? What's your name?" And I told him, then one of the other members from FaithWorks came and said, "She just joined this week." And Bud was ecstatic. He was so happy. He was like, "Welcome, it's nice to meet you, what do you do?" And he just made me feel comfortable because we were interacting, we were talking. They actually made me very comfortable and welcomed me, and it was so overwhelming. And I was glad I was there because I could help, I could pour the little I can into the lives of Bud and his family. I would say the Move Out Network has helped me to be more, to give more, to show up more, to serve more. They have given me the opportunity to see how I can better myself and better my community. So I would like to ask you that if you can, in whatever way you can, just check out the Move Out Network, check out the site. You will see different opportunities, different ways you can serve. You might not even have to leave your home to serve because some of these positions are even online, just calling someone up and encouraging someone spiritually. The Move Out Network covers each and every of this. So just sign up, just check out the website, see how you can volunteer, and I'm sure the community would love to have you. I would say it has made me grow spiritually. My relationship with Christ has grown over the couple of months. Over this month that COVID has shown its face, my relationship with Christ has grown stronger. I cannot believe where I was in January and where I am now with respect to my relationship with God. And just being able to listen to him and hear him lead me, it has been an amazing experience.
Yeah. I mean, what I love about her story is that she just simply showed up. And after she showed up, how God is so awesome that there were things that were in her skill set. But the first step was just showing up. And she jumped into our Move Out Network. And our Move Out Network is basically opportunities for us to be the hands and feet of Jesus, to love our community well. And tomorrow night, we're actually having a Move Out event. We'd love for you to participate in that. You just have to register to be a part of that. It's on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you are at. As long as you have some Wi-Fi or some data, you're able to participate in that. And there's going to be some Kensington staff and teaching pastors you're going to hear from, plus some of the Move Out team and leaders. And really, it's an opportunity to say, okay, God, how can you mobilize me so that I can have a greater impact? So we'd love for you to be a part of that. Because I truly believe that not only has God gifted you, but he's placed you where you are at for this stage of life. As crazy and as unexpected as 2020 has been, I believe that God has specific things that he wants to do in and through you in this season of life. Like that he has placed you where you are at and he wants to use you. And you might be like, I don't know about that. You're like, you don't know me, you don't know my life. But he does. So maybe it just starts with a question of saying, okay, God, how? How do you want to use me? Because I believe he really has placed you where you are at. Now, my favorite part of this passage in Acts chapter 6 is the result. The result of the disciples deciding to delegate and work together as a team. And so let's pick this up in verse 7. And it says, so God's message continued to spread. The number of believers greatly increased in Jerusalem, and many of the Jewish priests were converted too. So because the disciples decided to delegate and get some more people on their team and then place people where they were gifted, the message of Jesus spread farther. So more people got to hear about his hope, his love, his grace, his forgiveness, because there was more of them. And that's the third thing, is that empowered people can change the world. They changed the world because more people got involved. So there's Peter, the team captain, going, man, okay, guys, we've been doing good. We've been practicing. We've been getting people in their place. You're in your position where you are gifted. I really think this is good. And maybe they started working on some drills, right, to make sure that they were ready to play. You know, maybe it's like, okay, John, you have the ball. I need you to get it to Matthew. Matthew, if you can get it around to Stephen, make sure you watch out for Phil. He's kind of playing defense right now. I don't know, but they came up with some plays, and they talked about it. But then they didn't just go home then and go, okay, that's cool. No, they actually went out and played the game then. They came up with a plan. They placed people in a position, and then they played the game. And because they played the game, it changed the world. They played the game, because it's one thing for you and I to talk about Jesus and to say, oh yes, Jesus loves you, and scream it from the rooftops. But it's a whole other thing when we actually live it out and we show it by our actions, because your actions will speak way more loud than your words. Because when you and I step into those opportunities to use the gifts, the talents, the passions that God has placed in you, he will use you. He chooses to use us, not because he has to, but he chooses to, and we then get to be the light, his love to the world around us. There's this verse, it's later on in Acts chapter 13. It says, the Lord has given us this command. I have placed you here as a light for the Gentiles. You are to take the saving power of God to people everywhere. He has placed each and every single one of you where you are at to be a light. He has placed you there. You get to be a light to the world around you, and the world around you is your friends, coworkers, neighbor, your community. You get to be the light of Jesus. And our world is crying out. Our world is so desperate for any symbol of actual hope, of true peace and love. They're dying, and we get to be the answer because of Christ in us. We get to give them the hope of Jesus Christ. We get to do that. He has placed you. Now, it's easy to go, okay, well, that sounds great. Thanks, Shauna. How, though? Like, how do we actually do that? I mean, if you would have asked me a year ago, I probably would have had a great answer, but our whole world has flipped upside down. How do we actually do this then? Well, the first thing is we need to lean into the heart of serving, and that's Jesus. He's the model that we need to follow. But if we want to emulate that to other people, we got to get to know him. We can't give away what we do not know ourselves. And the thing about him is that he hasn't changed. So as much of our world has flipped around and we have to social distance and do all these things that do not feel normal to us, who Jesus is has not changed. His love is still the same. It is constant, and it is for every single person. So if we want to be able to give that away, we got to get to know him so that we can give that away. And the second thing is to be available. And that might require a shift. We might have to pivot some things in our life so that we can be available. And maybe you kind of go, okay, I kind of can think of some ways and how I might have to change some things. But for some of us, we might actually have to take some time today to reflect on that and to figure out maybe how we need to pivot so that we can be more available. It's being available to have a conversation with someone or to help them with their groceries. It's being available to fix your neighbor's lawnmower that broke or their pipes that burst because you actually have the skills and the gifts to do that. Or being available maybe to tutor some kids this fall because you're passionate about children and education. or it's being available to jump into one of our move-out teams, because our move-out network is those opportunities for you to be the hands and feet of Jesus, that you and I can love our community well through different opportunities to just show up and move out. But at the end of the day, whether you are new to your faith journey or you have been following Jesus for a really long time, it's just saying this: use me, God. Use me. Here I am. Use the gifts and the talents that you have given me for what you want to do, for your kingdom, for the one. Open up doors of opportunity that I can step into so that I can be your light and your love to the people around me. Use me, God. I'm available. He has placed you on the team. So the question is, how will you serve? Will you pray with me? God, I just thank you so much. I thank you for every person here, God, and I pray that we would hear your voice and that you would be speaking to our hearts, that we would see first and foremost that you have gifted every single person. You've given them passions and skills that you want to use to serve the world that is around them, for the people that you've placed into their life. God, I pray that we'd have this posture in our heart just to say, use me. That we'd be open-handed with everything in our life and who we are, God, so that we could live our life to help other people come to know and experience you, Jesus. I'm available, God. Use me. In your name, amen.
Narrow as the road may seem, I'll follow where your spirit leads. Broken as my life may be, I will give you every piece. I hear you call, I am available.
were made to worship, so will I. If the mountains bow in reverence, so will I. If the oceans roar your greatness, so will I. For if everything exists to lift you high, so will I. If the wind goes where you send it, so will I. If the rocks cry out in silence, so will I. If the sum of all our praises still falls shy, then we'll sing again 100 billion times. If the stars were made to worship, so will I.
The mountains bow in reverence, so will I.
The oceans roar your greatness, so will I. For if everything exists to lift you high, so will I. If the wind goes where you send it, so will I. The rocks cry out in silence, so will I. The sum of all our praise still falls shy. We'll sing again 100 billion times. Oh,
For the one who gave me life, nothing is a sacrifice. Oh, use me how you want to, God. Have your throne within my heart. Here I am. Here I am. You can have it all. You can have it all. Here I am. Here I am. You can have it all. You can have it all. Here I am. Here I am. You can have it all. You can have it all. Here I am. Here I am. You can have it all. You can have it all. You call. I am available. I say, yes, Lord, I am available.
Here I am, God. Use me. Use me. I am available. May that be the posture of our heart. To use us. To be available. To be his hands and his feet to the world around us. That we can be the light because he has placed you. I'm going to let you know that our prayer team is available. They're going to be out in the lobby if you want to talk or pray with someone. But we do hope that you'll come back next week as we conclude our Pivot series. And may you go ahead today and tomorrow and this next week, not just leaving this here, but may you take the heart to serve and to be available today, tomorrow, and may it become the way that we live. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.